Bum, ba-da-dum. Your boy's DNA test just came in.
This Ojibwe artist is making light of his DNA results through what he calls a racial reveal party.
I did a live reaction to me getting the results.
It's more than just an unveiling of his ancestry, but a chance to have conversations that may be uncomfortable for some.
Can I be a pretend settler, right, and get rid of all that kind of trauma?
For Wayne Robinson, this is a way to discuss Indigenous identity, trauma, and pretendianism.
I'm 3% Irish. Does that not make me more Irish than the Irish, right?
He says discussing pretendianism is not always easy to engage with non-Indigenous people, citing the example of musician Buffy St. Marie, whose decades-long claim of Cree heritage came under question recently.
Talking about the harms that have been done by pretendianism are something we all grapple with, we all can really understand. But I think from outside of the community, it seems almost negative, right? It seems like we're attacking a little old lady who ascribed to do the best thing for Indigenous folks, and I think there are real harms there.
He says making a joke out of it is easier for everyone to engage in these important discussions.
Even with myself, right? Like I've always had a troubling relationship with my own identity. You know, I grew up in the inner city. I grew up really poor. I grew up not surrounded by a lot of other Indigenous people that weren't part of my immediate family. So my Indigenous identity for a lot of my life has not been as positive as I'd like it to be. And a lot of times it was always deflected by humor.
Robinson has been trying to have these conversations for a while, even with the Montreal police force, through hosting workshops on generational trauma and myths of Indigenous people.
Let's try to humanize ourselves and the community as much as possible.
Robinson recently launched a podcast called Unceded Identity.
The racial constructs and challenges were kind of dwarfed by the economic challenges. Right?
That will soon be released on all podcast streaming platforms.
Where the idea of the unseen is like, no, we have control of that. We have control of what our identities are. We have control of those stereotypes, those myths, and take your own story, but tell it in a different way to either ascribe to more positive aspects or move away from the negative ones.
So what was his biggest surprise from his DNA results?
To find out I was 25% British was kind of a surprise. You know, I don't know what I was expecting, but I think of the colonizer nations, British was not one of them.
Savannah Craig, APTN National News, Montreal.